The Wick Man here. Let me tell you about something wild that happened to my friend Laura. She moved into this cute little house on Elmwood Street last year, thinking it was going to be her dream home. But man, was she wrong. It all started with these creepy phone calls. Every night, Laura's phone would ring, and when she picked up, there'd be this freaky voice on the other end. He would ask if she liked her new place, then start saying messed up stuff, like how she needed to leave or bad things would happen. At first, Laura figured it was just some prankster messing with her. But then things got weirder. She'd hear strange noises at night, like doors slamming or whispers in the dark. Once, she even saw shadows moving when she was all alone. One night, the voice on the phone told her to check out the basement. Laura was freaked out, so she called me over. We braved the creepy basement together and found this hidden room filled with old dolls, weird symbols, and photos of Laura herself. It was like someone had been spying on her. We called the cops, but they couldn't find any sign of the person behind the calls or the creepy room. It was like they vanished into thin air. Even after all that, Laura couldn't shake the feeling that something was still off about the house. She had trouble sleeping and felt like she was being watched all the time. And me? I couldn't shake the feeling either. Elmwood House had secrets, dark ones, and I wasn't sure we'd ever uncover them all. So, if you ever find yourself house hunting on Elmwood Street, keep an eye out for the house with the creepy phone calls. You never know what might be lurking behind closed doors. As days went by, Laura felt more and more worried. The weird stuff didn't stop, no matter how hard she tried to ignore it. It felt like the house itself was alive, giving off bad vibes all the time. Laura told me all about her fears, and we tried to figure out what was happening. Was it some ghost with a grudge, or maybe just some creep lurking in the shadows? But no matter how much we thought about it, we couldn't make sense of it all. And with each passing day, Laura felt like she was losing her grip on reality. Then, one night, as Laura sat alone in her dimly lit living room, the phone rang again. She picked it up, her heart pounding in her chest. "Hello?" she said, her voice trembling. There was a pause, followed by this low, creepy chuckle on the other end. "You can't hide from me, Laura," the voice said, sending a shiver down her spine. "I'm everywhere, watching you, waiting to strike." Laura's blood ran cold. The caller wasn't some ghost. It was a real person, a guy who'd been messing with her for who knows what reason. But why? What did he want? And how was he able to mess with her like this? Laura decided she wasn't going to take it anymore. She was done being scared. She was going to find out who this guy was and put an end to his games once and for all. So, armed with some courage and a whole lot of determination, Laura set out to uncover the mystery man's identity. She dug through old records, talked to neighbors, and did whatever it took to piece together the puzzle. And finally, she got a break. She found out the guy behind the calls was the same real estate agent who sold her the house in the first place. Can you believe it? The guy who sold her the place was also the one making her life a living hell. But Laura wasn't going to let him get away with it. With the evidence in hand, she went to the cops, ready to see justice served. Laura laid out everything she had discovered to the police. They were shocked by what they heard, but promised to look into it. Laura felt a sense of relief knowing that she was finally taking action against the man who had been tormenting her. But as the investigation progressed, Laura's anxiety only grew. The man had vanished without a trace, and there was no sign of him anywhere. It was like he had disappeared into thin air, leaving behind nothing but a trail of fear and uncertainty. Despite the lack of progress, Laura refused to give up hope. She knew that she couldn't let this man continue to terrorize her and others without consequence. She was determined to see justice served, no matter what it took. Meanwhile, the strange occurrences at Elmwood House continued unabated. Laura tried to push them to the back of her mind, focusing instead on finding a way to rid herself of the man who had brought so much fear into her life. Then, one day, Laura received a letter in the mail. It was from the real estate agent who had sold her the house, apologizing for any inconvenience and offering to buy the property back at a reduced price. Laura's blood boiled as she read the letter. She knew exactly what the man was trying to do: scare her into selling the house back to him so he could continue his twisted scheme with someone else. But Laura wasn't about to let him win. She crumpled up the letter and tossed it in the trash, determined to stand her ground and reclaim her home from the darkness that had consumed it. With renewed determination, Laura redoubled her efforts to uncover the truth behind the haunting of Elmwood House. She enlisted the help of her friends, scouring every inch of the property for clues that might lead them to the man who had been terrorizing her. And then, finally, a breakthrough. They discovered a hidden compartment in the attic, filled with documents detailing the real estate agent's nefarious activities. It was the evidence they needed to bring him to justice once and for all. Armed with the evidence, Laura and her friends went to the police, ready to see the man who had brought so much fear into their lives finally held accountable for his actions. But when they arrived at the police station, they were met with shocking news. The real estate agent had been found dead in his home, the victim of an apparent suicide. Laura was stunned by the news. She had wanted justice, closure, but now it seemed like she would never get it. The man who had haunted her for so long was gone, leaving behind nothing but unanswered questions and a lingering sense of unease. As she stood outside the police station, Laura couldn't help but feel a sense of relief. The nightmare was finally over, and she was free to move on with her life. But deep down, she knew that Elmwood House would always hold a special place in her heart, a reminder of the darkness that had once threatened to consume her. And as she walked away from the police station, surrounded by her friends and loved ones, Laura felt a sense of peace wash over her. The darkness had been vanquished, and she was ready to face whatever the future held, knowing that she would never again be alone in the darkness. Last but not least, just don't forget, it wasn't just a puppy, so you better click that subscribe button.